Brandon with Emerge Branding Consulting. Is that correct?
Emerge Brand Consulting, yes.
Okay. And Roben Bellomo with Bellomo Studios. And we are here today to have a nice conversation about...
Bring a positive light on what's going on right now, hopefully.
Yes, for small business owners who are going through some of the same things that we are and same mental process, we wanted to share our thoughts because we thought maybe it would be beneficial, and we had some positive things to go over. So anyway, Brandon, if you could kick us off, talk to me a little bit about what's going on right now, and as small business owners, how are we responding, and could maybe we be responding a little bit better?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, the big thing is, what we want to do right now is simply just provide more confidence for people, right? I think it's a time of crazy uncertainty. We know that there's light at the end of the tunnel, but we don't know how far away that light is right now, right? We don't know how things are ending or where they're going. Even a lot of times, every day it's changing. And so our goal here today is really to hopefully help provide business owners with what I think you agree with me on this is that in times like this, as much as we want to be practical, if we don't have the right mindset for this, then doing those things on a day-to-day basis, those practical things, those action steps, it becomes very difficult when our mind is in the wrong place. And so that's what I wanted to do, is to really provide all the business owners, solopreneurs, micro businesses, small business owners, especially locally, but this is going to be posted on the internet, so it's really for anybody everywhere who could use it, is to really provide them the opportunity to go through this, get more confident. I really believe once they're done watching this, they will have a lot more confidence. I think they'll feel a lot more clarity around the steps to do so. And in turn, use that confidence to really push forward in the process that we'll share with them later.
Good. So from the comfort of our own homes, because we're inside like everybody else in our stocking caps and everything else there, our goal is to help restore some confidence and clarity for some of our fellow business owners, both in the area and in the world abroad. So can you tell me, what's your case? Why should I have more confidence and feel more clarity as a small business owner when there's so much uncertainty going on right now?
Well, in my opinion, I think you have no other choice, right? I mean, if you look at any point in time that you've been through adversity, anytime that I've been through adversity, anytime we've been in a situation with a team, a company, any point of time where there's been turbulent times or times of transition, or we faced adversity, if you don't respond and instead you're just constantly in reaction mode, then you're going to fail, or at least be hit hard with whatever those consequences are in that moment. And right now, I really believe that if we don't continue to react or respond, not react, to these times, and really continue to focus, get that clarity, get that confidence, and make the right moves and make the right decisions, then we're going to get caught up in things. And I tell people the proof is this, is if you're here, period, then you've overcome every piece of adversity that you've ever experienced in your life, right? If you are here, then you've made it through some of probably the toughest times for you, whatever those may be. And then the other proof is this, is how many times, maybe not necessarily in our lifetime, but I know, in our lifetime, we've experienced multiple pandemics, and the U.S. has made it through it. And multiple times in our lifetime, we've been through recessions and made it through it. So I think we know that this will end at some point in time, and there is light at the end of the tunnel, although we don't know where it is. It's really focusing on the positive and the things that we can do now that's really going to help us move forward.
And let's be real. I mean, granted, these are unprecedented times. We haven't felt these challenges before, but as small business owners, realistically, we're dealing with challenges all the time, right? I think the
Absolutely.
unique difference I really feel in this is that everybody's feeling it at the same time. And as a result, we're being fed so many things that are really wanting to feed our reactions, our fears, our anxieties about the things that are unknown, that it feels more amplified. And as a result, we're having to really negotiate that choice between, do I respond and do things proactively like I do normally,
Yeah. Yeah.
or am I going to bug out and go that direction? And let's be honest, don't we face that in our own heads every day? A little bit as small business owners. I don't know that anybody's insulated that from that, but I do think when we do hit that point, it's worth taking a breath and making a decision that is going to help us to stay the course and stay on track with what the plan is and always has been, even when we can't guarantee that plan, and it's remaining fluid but staying the course at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, I think, you hit the nail on the head that it's amplified because we are all going through it. But at the same time, I like to point out the advantage of that is that we're all going through it, right? And what I mean by that is, as a business owner, normally, how hard is it to identify the problems that your customers are going through, right? It takes a lot of research, a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of time, energy, resources in general to really identify what is my audience going through. But right now, I think we all kind of have an idea because we're experiencing it ourselves. And so I think it's a very empowering time as well if we look at it that way, right? And that's why
Sure.
it's so important right now to go through what we're talking about is really getting the mindset right, right? And identifying that, look, the problems are that we're seeing over and over and over are this. There is a lot of uncertainty. We don't know when this is going to end. We don't even know what tomorrow is going to bring in a lot of cases. And because of that, that's stirring a lot of fear, insecurities. It's creating a lot of lack of clarity for us, and because of all that, it stirs up some emotions, probably bad habits in some cases, that then we're reacting, like you said, rather than responding. And so if we can be proactive and say, okay, look, everyone's going through this. What does my audience need from me right now, and how can I serve? I think that's a huge piece. And we're going to talk about that here
Sure.
in a little bit.
Sure.
But those are the problems. Let's talk about those for a little bit.
I'd like to just add real quick before we do, because there's something just kind of hit me, is um, when you talk about we're all going through this together, I think this really raises an opportunity for a sort of extraordinary communication. Let's think about when we suffer through something with a group of people, what kind of bonding that takes. I reflect back to high school two-a-days tryouts for soccer, something
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
You're suffering for 8 hours in the heat and you're running and it happens day after day. And at the end, what happens is this,
Camaraderie.
yeah, this camaraderie, this unbreakable bond. And that is part of the point. And although I know this is really hard and I think we're all struggling, we can all identify with the common emotion right now, and there is a tremendous opportunity for making connections and communicating that we may never have again. To be quite honest, I hope we don't. But it's a good thing to, maybe a good way to spin it in our heads for the moment. So let's move forward. I know you had mentioned kind of moving on to the next part of our conversation and like giving some advice and what people can kind of be aware of during this time, because I think awareness is a really important part of this, is being authentically aware of what we're feeling and how we can proactively respond to it.
Yeah, I think the big piece of that is what you and I have talked about in the system that we created is to, number one, is really recognize the reality, and the reality number one is recognizing what, not just what you said, the awareness, and getting really clear on the thinking that we have right now, but also what does that thinking entail, right? Is it the negative thinking of that uncertainty, that fear, that lack of clarity, and are we reacting in in a highly emotional way rather than really getting clear and responding in the right way. Because when you think about those negative things, what does that lead to? Since we're talking about business owners, what does that lead to, right?
It shuts us down, doesn't it? I mean, when we,
Totally. And
yeah,
and when we're feeling that way, we kind of get um, we don't want to do anything, right? Like you said, it
right.
shuts down. We don't want to plan. And what happens? Well, when we don't have a plan, we can't move forward a lot of times because we feel like, well, what do I do next, right? I think the next piece is that when you don't have a plan, it's hard to communicate what you are trying to do. And if you have employees and you're not communicating or you're poorly communicating the lack of a plan,
More
then
panic, more fear, more anxiety.
absolutely, right? I mean, how would you feel if you were working at a company and I'm the boss and I haven't communicated anything and there's I don't want to I was going to say shit. There's shit going on
Hmm.
uh all around the world and I don't know what's going to happen, right? Am I going to get fired? Am I going to get, lose my benefits? Can I afford that? All those that fears that then now connect and bleed into my home life starts to become a problem. And ultimately in business, all of those things really create a revenue problem at some point in time, or how will that affect your revenue? And so what I say with the awareness piece first, and then I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, is even if you have no plan right now, bring your team together, bring your family together, bring your network together and say, hey, I don't know how to respond to this right now. And I'm sure some of you guys feel the same way. How can we help each other create a plan, right? Or how can we help at least continue to communicate and feel like we're not alone in this? Although we already know, like we just said, despite knowing that we're all in this together, a lot of us feel like we're not. So I don't know how you feel about that. I'd love to hear your
Yeah.
thoughts.
Well, I think the idea of awareness doesn't mean having everything figured out. And I think as small business owners, we sometimes get stuck in this trap of communication where we feel like we have to exude this. We think confidence means having everything perfect, and we don't make mistakes. And I don't think we know that's not realistic. Awareness is being aware of what we do kind of think might happen, what we are uncertain of, and having the savvy to be able to communicate to those around us and say, these are the pieces I've got and these are the pieces I don't. Because I think when we open ourselves up to that, and I've noticed this with my clients even this week and such, when I'm talking to them, by having an awareness and being open to communication, that doesn't mean a lack of confidence. It just means actually maybe there is confidence to discuss it. And what you get is an opportunity for people to give you feedback and want to play a part. And they might help fill
Yes,
those gaps that we have. In fact, they
absolutely.
will fill those gaps that we have, and to help us clarify and bring our plan into focus. I've been reading this book by Vanessa Van Edwards called Captivate. And she quoted Larry King in there, and she said, I never learned anything while talking. And the
Yes,
point was, she was talking about the importance of listening. And one thing I think that can help us bring some clarity and bring some awareness to where we need to focus is just that: ask meaningful, honest questions, and then stop talking and listen to what people are saying to you right now.
absolutely. I think there's a huge opportunity, like you were talking about, of building that camaraderie right now. Uh, I'm in a group in which I don't lead it, I'm just a part of it. And I think one of the coolest things I saw the other day was someone had an issue, and the coach who was leading it didn't really have a great solution. And I think the coach did a great job of saying, look, this isn't really a strong point of mine. I'd love to hear everyone in the group. What are your thoughts? Do you guys have any ideas? And it became like a brainstorming mastermind for this person. And they left with awesome notes, awesome ideas. Who knows if they'll implement them or if they even have the resources and time and energy to do that. But the fact that you have that group of people who are there, experiencing the same thing, but also helping you in that process, I think is awesome. And that's what I love about our network is the ability to hop on calls like this, but with multiple of us, and really just share, hey, what you were just saying a minute ago, filling in those gaps of who has ideas for this. Like right now, I don't know what your guys' business is out there, but tons of people had to move online, and tons of people, although we're in the digital age, have no clue how to use technology effectively. And as a matter of fact, one of the biggest issues we saw and some of the research that we were looking at, the quick research that's been posted lately, is the businesses that are struggling and not responding well right now is their inability to move and be effective with technology. So if that's something that you're good at, and maybe that's not even a service, that could be something that maybe you potentially offer as a service right now to support people as a second revenue stream or something like that. So
I'm gonna bring it back and just to kind of, we've been kind of defining a process for response, and I think we should probably make this a little more linear for our those that are listening. We first started with talking about awareness and not reacting, but choosing how we're going to respond, not feeding into the anxieties. The next part that we wanted to highlight was attitude, and some of the things I have on our notes are, again, not limiting our creativity because we are feeding into that fear, and keeping our minds open and fluid, being ready to pivot and move just like we always have to, right? Keeping loose, keeping well, just like running a marathon. I mean, if you tighten up everything, it's hard to do things, right? You got to just relax. And then by the time we do that, it can push us to that next place of growth, correct? Where we can now choose how to respond, and we can be good leaders. Like you said, leading doesn't mean having all the answers. Sometimes it means facilitating, utilizing the people around us to fill the gaps, having the humility and the confidence to say, I don't know everything. And then leading us to that ultimate part of gratitude, where we can really be grateful for what's happening and be aware of what we're facilitating as a result, and enjoy being a part of that, a cog in the bigger system, and realize it's not all about us. It's about where we fit into the system and how we can do our part to keep moving.
Yes. So, and I think that's a great 4-step process for where we're at right now. Like, as we mentioned, our whole goal here is to create more confidence, right? And it's create more confidence how? Well, it's recognizing the reality that you're currently in. How do you do that? That 4-step process: awareness, attitude, growth, gratitude. And what is maybe, to kind of bring it and tie it into business even more is what does awareness mean for you right now? Well, what we did was we outlined 4 zones that you could potentially be in right now, right? We have a red zone, orange zone, yellow zone, and green zone. Red zone means...
Can you share that with us? Do you have that available? Is that what you were...
Yeah.
Previous graphic?
Give me one
Sorry
second.
to put you on the spot, but...
Jeez. Boom, boom. Share right here. Can you see that?
I can.
So it's these 4 areas right here. I'll just highlight them here so you can kind of see them. It's split right in the middle of the page of my notes.
That's okay. That's okay.
There's red zone, orange zone, yellow zone, and green zone. What does that mean? Well, red zone means it's looking really ugly for you right now. Maybe you're one of those businesses, such as like a restaurant, that's been getting hit hard. No one's able to come in. And luckily, a lot of those places have been allowed to pivot to carry out delivery and things like that. But if you're a business who has been hit really hard, then you may need to completely redesign your model, right? A great example is those restaurants who maybe a lot of them were just sit-in restaurants, right? Dine in, and all of a sudden, whoa, if I'm going to survive this, they had to completely redesign their model, create a way to order online, carry out, take out, that whole process. If your business isn't a restaurant, but you've been affected, then how can you redesign your business model right now? And maybe that's something that you need to get with that group that we're talking about, your network. Maybe it's your team needs to sit down and create that, but that's where you are right now. Orange zone. Orange zone means that you've been substantially affected, right? That means maybe a chunk, 40% of your business has been dropped off because of something. This is where you need to be flexible and or pivot in some form or fashion. That's something, like I was just saying a minute ago, something that we could really, we've actually done is on our end is part of our business is digital marketing, digital online services. Well, we don't really help a lot of people move and understand how to do that, but we've added that as an opportunity for people and say, hey, we can help you build your website. We can help you learn how to use these tools and provide them the opportunity. That's a small pivot that we made because we knew, wow, people need help with that, right? So if your business has been substantially affected, you need to potentially be flexible and or pivot. And then the last two, yellow and green, right? Yellow means you've been minimally affected and you may just need to refocus and reestablish yourself. Once again, identify the reality right now, and then just refocus yourself and possibly pivot in some small ways if need be, but nothing too big. And then the last piece is green zone. Like real estate has been big right now. There's other businesses such as grocery, technology, who business is really good, right? So this is a great time to take advantage of that. Scale your business if possible, double down on the ability to go attract more customers. And it's that awareness that matters first. It's that attitude towards these things. And really the attitude when you're in the red and orange is what's going to matter more. But even in the green zone, if you kind of have, I'm just going to take this business in while I got it, rather than the double down, let's really take advantage of this business, then you could be missing out on a huge opportunity for growth. And so then that growth step of identifying those things, and then the last piece of, like you said, gratitude. Along the way, it's not always going to be pretty, but having the gratitude of what's going well, what do I have, what are the resources I have to keep moving forward.
And I think it's one of the big challenges here is that we've, because this was such a rapid occurrence that happened, a lot of people, even that were in the green zone, a lot of people just dropped down like within a week or two, right? So I think that's where it's like, oh my gosh, what just happened? It's literally spun in our heads. Now, if you could take me, I know you have another graphic and you touched on recognizing reality, and I'd like to take a look at that graphic with you and just kind of feed into that real quick to wrap up our thoughts here. I'll let you share that and then we can kind of move on it. And I believe one of the words at the top of your scale was, staying poised, and there it is. And at the top there, starting with recognizing reality. What does that mean?
Recognizing reality is really not getting caught up in the emotion of the situation right now, right? It is identifying what is the truth of what's happening. And I think I shared an example with you earlier is I was on a meeting, on a call like this, but with multiple business owners. And one person, I believe, and the coach agreed, I wasn't responding to it. It was a different call. But he hopped on and his business was teaching kids how to cook to help out their busy parents. That's his normal business model. And I say he's freaking out because he said, I don't know what to do right now. I feel like I need to completely switch my business model. He thought he was in the red.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And I'm sitting here thinking in my head, I didn't mention this, but I'm thinking, whoa, what are you thinking? This is a perfect time to
Yeah.
sell
As a parent,
those services.
Absolutely.
And so my point, what you were talking about, recognizing reality is understanding that situation. I think his emotions were getting the best of him. I don't know. I'm not in his head, but I think his emotions were getting the best of him, and maybe even self-sabotaging this opportunity for him to really take advantage of. Hey, people need your services right now. You're probably actually in the green zone
Yeah.
and could double down on those services and the marketing and putting it out there to people.
Okay. So this brings another point to my head that I want to talk about is it okay for small businesses right now to talk about new business and actually talk about making money right now and asking? I feel like there's a big stigma attached to it's just not okay for us to talk about it. But the reality is um, we need to survive. And the other reality is that I think people are in a place right now is those that are able to help and contribute and still invest and are looking for ways to do that. And I do in my head, there is a place to talk about it and figure that out. But if we don't open up the conversation, we can't ever get there. Just like your friend who had that business, if he wouldn't have brought it up to you, would there have been an opportunity for you to give him a different perspective? So I just want to get your thoughts on that. Is it okay for us to talk about business right now and making money?
Absolutely. And I
Okay.
say that, when I say that, it's going down here to this piece right here, the profit piece, and we can talk about the profit definition here in a little bit. But number one bullet right here is high integrity communication. During this time of turbulence and crisis and uncertainty, it is not selling in a price gouging way. It is not taking advantage of the times,
Right.
right? What we really need to do is put together high integrity solutions that are really going to serve people
Yep.
right now. People need that right now, and it's not only going to benefit them, right? If you sell them
Yep.
something that they can absolutely use to survive right now, that is awesome, right? So it's going to help them, it's going to help you. And because you are selling and money is being exchanged in the market, it's ultimately going to help the economy in the grand scheme of things. That's what we all need to keep the economy going right now. The fact that money is being hoarded and people aren't moving money is the
Yeah.
problem, and that's how recessions start. So
That's right. And don't we have an opportunity right now to really demonstrate the character of our business and bring that brand awareness that you talk about to our people and to an expanded audience and show what we're made of, right?
absolutely, I think we were talking earlier, and I think right now is a perfect time to really, it's kind of a hard balance sometimes, but I think this is a perfect time to find the balance of empathy, right, and integrity. Empathy meaning serve with a high level of care, and be empathetic of the situations and circumstances that people are going through. Like, you may be a business that is in the green, serving a business that's in the red. If you are insensitive to that, it is really going to affect your business in a negative way. And the brand awareness that you're putting out is not good press, right? So this is a great time to, if you are empathetic and providing, uh, it's a great time to give free services, but allow those free services to lead into selling of quality solutions, right?
And offer something of value that will help people to also continue to grow themselves during a challenging time. Because the fact is, we all have very specific and very strong skill sets as business owners. It's just a matter of putting them in the right places and creating those bridges that will get us there, so that we can work together to maintain the infrastructure, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And
So
I
go ahead. Go ahead. Sorry.
And I was going to say the other piece, so I said empathy is serving with care. The other piece is the integrity. That's the other part of the balance. The integrity is understanding that, look, we all need to make money, right? We all need to survive this. We all need to take care of our family. We have bills to pay, all that stuff. And sure, hopefully government is going to support us, but I know a lot of people haven't even received their stimulus check. A lot of the small business loans are being rejected, especially for the smaller businesses.
Yeah.
So you have to be proactive. You have to respond. don't expect or even rely on the government for those things. Sure, if those things come through, those are great bonuses, but I challenge you to really lead, right? How can you serve your audience? How can you create goodwill in some form or fashion by maybe partnering together with somebody and creating an awesome solution or an awesome package to support what's going on right now?
Reach outside of the box, look for new avenues of communication. If you're running into spots that don't seem to be moving, go a different direction. All of that, again, normal stuff we have to do, but now feels amplified.
Yep.
And I do think, like we said before, people, if you do have integrity, are really looking for ways to help if they're able. And if they're not, they're going to be able to tell you that. So I think in having respect there is the important part too. So I'd like to move us forward a little bit. Relentlessly respond is your next point here. And I had a couple questions about that. How it's really difficult to plan right now in uncertain times, because on one hand, in order to get things done, we have to have some type of a plan and agenda.
Yep.
But on the other hand, it's hard to forecast, like, when are things going to open up again? And can I have events and I can't schedule, or I'm going to have to keep pushing them off? So I'd like to get your 30-second thoughts on that. And then the other thing I'd like to talk about a little bit is what we should or shouldn't be posting on social media. So not only talking about the things we can do to support integrity in our business, but also some of the things we probably want to be avoid doing out of our moments of weakness, as far as some of the agenda and thoughts that we might be supporting just by interacting with, if you know what I mean. So please give me your couple thoughts there.
Yeah, the relentlessly respond piece is what we've been talking about this whole time, is how can I provide value now? And here's the thing, like in normal business, this is what's I think so great about this moment in time. In normal business, when everything is fine and dandy, a lot of people tend to get caught up in perfectionism, and they try and create the perfect solution. And it ends up taking days or months or weeks to even finalize that solution and
We
present
talked
it.
about that with this video, didn't we? Like, how
Yeah.
refined we need it to get. I'm like, well, let's just keep it real and get it out there.
Yeah, and so what we did is you and I just basically said, how can we serve right now? What is something that we can present to people right now that's really going to help them? And when I put this model together, it comes from experience, but I just literally sat down for maybe 30 minutes and said, what is the process I've always used to take people through this, and can I create it in a way that's easily remembered and easily used for people to go through. And what we did was we said, look, I think right now we can help people by shooting a video that is positive. And this actually kind of aligns with the next point that you were talking about. What is stuff that you should put on social media? Mm-hmm. I think people are looking for leaders right now. They're looking for hope, right? They're looking for good news. I actually was listening to a podcast. I don't really listen to podcasts a lot, but I was listening to part of it. And the host said, what is something that's missing right now online? And he was asking people, and he goes, it was quiet for a good 10, 15 seconds. And he goes, good news, right? And so I think so many people are getting caught up in the political messages that are going out.
Or you got to dig through a lot of bad news to get to it.
Yes, and people are getting caught up in the emotions and the tensions of this. Relentlessly respond is
even
saying,
with, oh, I'm sorry, but
no, go ahead.
Even with good intentions of like, I'm going to find good news, and then I get stuck on this one thing, and it takes me down this wormhole of destruction.
Yes.
So
relentlessly respond is that, right? Relentlessly respond is how can I serve right now? And don't worry about how to piece it together. Everyone's scrambling, even major corporations that have all the time, energy, and resources are scrambling. News stations are doing their news like this, right?
Right.
The nightly shows are doing their shows like this. You see them sitting in their living rooms, their bedrooms, they're doing it like this. So everyone is doing it like this right now. But how can you serve your people?
Sure.
That would be my challenge to everybody is, get clear on where you're at right now. Remember your resources. That's the third point. And then really just start to move forward, make a plan, go forward, and then communicate clearly, create those high value connections, and then make sure that when you are providing services or offering services, it is a high quality solution, right?
Sure.
I mean, what you talked about an example of you were talking to your clients yourself, and you said just they want to help you just as much
Oh,
as you're
absolutely. Yeah.
trying
I
to.
mean, I know a lot of my communications right now with my clients are, you know, especially my small business clients, how can I help you right now? Is there anything I can do for you? And sometimes it's just a matter of listening, and an opportunity for them to tell me what's going on. And we're getting outside the box. Maybe I'm offering consulting services more than just creating visuals for them at the moment and things, because I'm helping them think outside the box, doing what we're doing. And in return, though, it's interesting, and shouldn't be a surprise, but when you have good clients that believe in you and I mean, we're we're fans of one another. We want each other's success, right? I mean, those are the kind of relationships you hope to have, anyways. But when you open up that opportunity, the same thing. Well, how can I help you? Well, you know what? I would love for you just to could you give me a quick testimonial and talk about the experience with me? Can you tell me a little bit about your skill sets? And they're bringing things to the table for me that I wouldn't have thought about. I think that brings up a good point. Is think of reevaluating your resources. You brought that up. Remember your resources, and think of bite-sized pieces that we can go after, because it's really overwhelming to think of the big thing. But for the day, it could be, I'm going to make 3 phone calls to my current clients and say, hey, be honest with them, have integrity. How can I help you today? Just reach out to them. Or think about some of the subscriptions we have for our websites and other things. Say, you know what? I've been meaning to add some call buttons to each of my pages. Like, that could be my focus today. How do you eat an elephant? What? One bite at a time. We hear that, right? And it's the same idea here. And what's interesting, and I found by taking that approach, is that it's leading me to things I couldn't have planned. So part of the plan is just defining, well, first of all, breathing. Second, defining a step for the moment, when I'm not juggling my kids and my family, because we're all dealing with that too.
Yep.
And making sure we're being reasonable with ourselves about our expectations about what we can do, and then executing, and then being aware of where it leads, and then be willing to move to the next step. And when those opportunities arise because of that one step we took, be open to taking them, because I think the path through this thing is going to reveal itself as long as we keep putting one foot in front of the other.
I love it. Like what you just talked about is really, you kind of went through this process a little bit. Poise is really just getting the mind right so that you're not making reactive or emotional decisions, right?
Yep.
And by doing that is get real,
Yep.
respond, right? Consistently by taking those little bite-sized steps, and
Yep.
then remember the resources in that process. Then, part of identifying where you're at is really assessing the vulnerabilities, which is in step 2. Like, where am I vulnerable? Can I tweak that? Mitigate that risk real quickly. And then what you were just saying, what opportunities are there, and start exploring them, right?
Yep.
And then once you create that plan, it's really this first piece. I think it's always important to have a strategic plan, but in this case, because we don't know what's coming tomorrow, it's having this strategic flexibility. And then once we have that flexibility, it's really identifying what can we streamline and execute on right now. And then having this kind of synergistic accountability that you were talking about. Part of that synergistic accountability is having a network like we were talking about, or working together as a team, and not just because we're all going to fall apart at different points. Like we talked about, kids are interrupting, kids are doing stuff, schedules changing, wife needs help, family members need help, maybe some, people are asking for money and donations and things like that. You're helping out in every different way. How can we help each other stay up here, right, in that poised place, rather than falling out of that, and then doing the things that it takes to really profit. And I love what you were thinking about with your definition of profit. It's not just about the money, it's about, feel free to share.
Yeah, I was talking about defining profit, and then yesterday when we talked, but obviously monetary profits help us pay our bills. But when we talk about the profits we get from building strong relationships, building bonds, people know we're doing this for a living. Even our best clients, our friends, like ultimately people that believe in us, they want to support us so they can. So they know that. But they may not be able to right now. But it doesn't mean that they aren't going to remember what we're trying to do for them now as well. And I think we got to be okay with that. It's okay to have the conversation about, yeah, we're doing this for a living and we have to charge, but it's also okay to think about our profits at this moment in time a little bit outside of the box of dollars and cents.
I love it. I completely agree. And that's one of the actual reasons why I put profit there, is not just the financial piece, but I think all the benefits that can happen when you're really doing these things, right?
Right.
When you're communicating in a high integrity way right now, people are going to see you in a higher light, whether they buy from you or not.
Yeah.
When you're creating high value connections right now and supporting people and serving people in whatever way that you can, it's going to profit in some form or fashion in the long run. And ultimately, it's going to create some of these financial conversions of some sort. So I love it. Is there any other final questions that you want to that we had?
I don't think so. I think if you can bring me back to our screen mode of both of us, let's stay true to our ask here. I think it's okay for us to say how we want to share some content and some things that we would like to do to try to offer support. Obviously, with this video, I always want to ask people to visit our website, see what we're about, learn more about us. That's my big ask during this time. And also, all of my clients, hard to service portrait clients at the moment, obviously, but I have been able to service some of our small business clients as far as their product work and visibility, and like I said, even to the point of sometimes I'm being summoned to just sit in on a brainstorming meeting to come up with ideas and help them think outside the box and look at their things. So I would just invite anybody who's looking for a creative to help them with their visuals to give a call. I'd be happy to donate an hour of my time to just really sit down, talk about your business, and evaluate, see how we might be able to help, no strings attached. So that's my big ask at the conclusion of this. What about you?
No, I absolutely love it. I mean, I think the first thing I want to call people to do is really to lead right now. This is your time to lead, be poised first, but really serve, serve, and then, sell second, serve, and then sell a high quality solution. And then like he said, check us out at our websites. You can visit me at brandonsobotka.com, and you can actually get that cheat sheet that we just showed you about how to respond during these times by subscribing to our quote unquote business newsletter right now. That's at brandonsobotka.com. And I definitely recommend, visiting BellomoStudios.com, which is Roben's website, because right now is a great time to be seen. And he can definitely help you with any of that visual piece. Putting together visual stories in a time right now is huge. And really communicating your story right now is huge. And then what he was talking about with the sessions, we're calling it the rapid response session right now. Feel free to reach out to each one of us and set up just a complimentary session, strategy session about how we can support you in these times.
Perfect. All right, Brandon. Well, I look forward to covering some other topics before long and seeing what other value we can hopefully bring. We'd love to get your comments and response. Please be candid with us. We're only doing this if it's helpful, and we want to know how we can help the best. So feel free to leave some comments when we share this, and Brandon, I want to thank you for your time as always. It's always a
I
pleasure.
appreciate you so much, buddy.
That's right. And we'll keep it up and kind of move forward from there. So signing off, thank you. And I wish you a good day and a productive time.